Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Midtown High Dropouts. With me, my name is Kyle. With me today are
Oro,
Mike.
Nuts.
All right, awesome. And today we're going to be discussing the PlayStation 4 exclusive Spider-Man game, which Game Informer for April they did an entire month of coverage for, and we'll be discussing all of that. And we're going to start off with our first impressions of the game, what we like about it, how we think of it compared to the other Spider-Man games, and then we'll follow it up with gameplay, and finally what we think about, we'll speculate on the story. Oro, you want to start out?
Yeah, so there was something I kind of always thought since they first showed the gameplay, and everything they've been showing now seems to still be that way. It looks kind of just like the next logical step you would take after the TASM games. It's like taking what the baseline those made and kind of making a better game out of it, making it what it should have been.
And it's interesting you say that. There's a little bit of gameplay, because there is like one element from the TASM games that kind of shows up. I was listening to Game Informer does a podcast, and they had a 30-minute discussion on the gameplay of it, and it seems like there's a variation, like a really toned down version of Web Rush from those games.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Yeah, there was like a whole web zip command that looks like it looked a lot like the Web Rush stuff from the TASM games.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
I was gonna expand upon that. It's kind of like Web Rush, but like you can do it kind of manually. It feels like with the web swinging in this game. It kind of looks like that to me.
Right.
Is it manual?
Well, no, okay, I don't remember correctly, but I remember it was you hold a button down for PS4. I mean, Web Rush was similar.
Yeah, and it slows everything
Just
down, and then you can look for
puts you in like a
perches.
first-person mode, and then you.
Yeah, it goes in first
go around.
person, but I don't think it goes into third. I think it only stays in third person for PS4.
But
Yeah.
I remember they were mentioning that and I'm like taking a ball of nuts this time here. I remember they were mentioning there's white circles for where all the stuff you can zip to, which
Right, and
seems like the same thing to me that what TASM did with instead of your silhouette, it was a little circle, and then so you still had select points that you could zip to.
I think that's just indicator for the webs, and not what does this path take you, like how it is in the in Web Rush.
Oh, that's true, because with Web Rush before you could web zip anywhere, and then he'll take an automatic path to get to whatever that was, where in this case I guess you have to do each step manually.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if I think that's better, but it's cool.
Nuts. What do you think, Nuts?
I think the game looks good.
Cool.
That's about it. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I mean, it looks
Oh
good.
shit. Okay, yeah.
Me too, bro.
I think people really put on the nostalgia goggles with stuff like Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man, Web of Shadows even, which is more of a recent game, but I definitely think they're like, oh, this is gonna be the best Spider-Man game, and I personally don't feel like that's a very high bar, if I'm being honest.
I gotta be honest, I barely played Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man. I didn't like that much of what I did play. That's why I stopped playing them.
That's understandable.
I actually did like the TASM games more, not because of the web swinging, but because of everything else. I liked the combat more in it. The only one I liked combat more for an open world Spider-Man game was Web of Shadows. I liked the stealth was really fun. I guess I did like the web rush thing was really cool. And TASM 2, I wish the PS4 version brought this back, where you had both triggers would swing from each hand. That's a really cool, fun idea.
Is that gonna be in this new game?
It's
I
not.
do not believe so. It's not.
And that's
I would have liked that.
depressing, I think, because
It makes sense, because he did that in Spider-Man 2. Each arm was a separate button, and that I feel like that brought a rhythm to it. But I don't know if what they wanted for this. I guess they couldn't do that. Insomniac, I mean.
Yeah. I also
because. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, go on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done.
No, I mean I was just gonna say that like all the movements they seem a little more meticulous with each step. It's not just press a button and go. They're with web
Yeah.
swinging at least.
Hold on, I don't know big words. Meticulous.
So
it's
like,
they're
Wait, no.
predetermined.
Showing great attention to detail, very careful and
Yeah.
precise. Yeah, seems like that.
okay.
Planned.
All right. Yeah. Well, Nuts, you're a big Web of Shadows guys. How do you think this like compares to it?
He just said he was going to be right back, so he's not
Oh, how did I miss that?
here.
Did I-
That's okay. I'll take over.
Okay.
So
Oops.
like, I took note of the swinging controls. I don't know if we're supposed to be talking all about swinging right now, but I guess we're talking about swinging right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, hold on.
Oh man. Oro, are you initial D?
I live right next to the NASCAR track. I'm sorry. I live in the
you
middle
actually?
of the NASCAR track.
How did that not happen at all the last time you were on?
No, I'm joking, but I took note of all the controls and swinging, like, because they on one of the Game Informer articles they add like a list of controls for what each thing does.
Oh, right.
Oh
It
yeah.
looks super complicated. Like,
does.
everyone who's played it says it feels really good, but reading it doesn't feel very good.
I absolutely agree because it looks like you have to like think about it. You can't. I wonder like how long you have to play the game before it becomes like muscle memory.
Well,
I guess
yeah,
that's
there's
what
like,
happens.
there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons for swinging and like air control in the first place, plus a combination of 2 buttons. And I'm just thinking it's mostly the triggers, but then there's also L3, circle, and X. Like circle to do a sharp turn or a U-turn, that feels like it's going to be really hard to get used to.
L3 is the dive, right?
L3 is
L3 is the
and I
dive.
believe- and that's interesting. They like had a specific dive button.
I like the idea of a dive. I hate that it's on L3. Holding down L3 hurts my thumb.
They didn't say if you hold it down or
They did.
Did they?
They did. Yeah, it was in.
Oh, okay.
You have to hold it down the whole time.
That's kind of weird.
And
Wait.
there's. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say it makes sense because like so you can go in and out of the dive as you wish to
Yes.
do all your things, but I wish it was
And
on a more friendly button.
And yeah, well, apparently, the longer you dive, you gain acceleration, obviously, because that's
Yeah.
how
Makes
physics
sense,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And then you implement that into your swinging. I guess we're in the gameplay section now, but yeah.
I had so much more to say. What was your thoughts?
I mean, we'll get to that in the
Yeah,
last part. We
please.
talk about that last after story stuff. But and it's not even just swinging. It's like just all of the movements. There's there's like a really small detail, or maybe it's not a small detail, but when you're wall running and you're trying to like turn, you like do a sharp turn. You latch onto a wall with a web, and you just swing around, and you continue running on the other side of the building.
Do you
And I
have
think
to
it's, like,
About
super neat.
that,
do you have to
I
hold
think
down
we did
circle?
that.
Yeah, you have to hold down circle to do that.
Yeah.
That's
I think
No,
they took that
weird to
from
me.
Sunset Overdrive because there's you can wall run in that game too, but not as like freely. It's like upon a straight line.
Oh, that's
and,
right. I've never played that game. And there's probably
and there
like a lot carried
isn't-
over.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah. I heard
I
it's.
think they have a little bit of the same engine in this game.
Yeah, that's what I
It
heard.
just
It was
kind
just
of have it expensive.
How
They
cool
feel
would it
like-
be to grind on rails as Spider-Man?
That
pretty
I guess we
great.
could play Tony Hawk too, and we can do that.
It's true.
okay, Neversoft did Spider-Man and Tony Hawk.
And then you have to press both triggers at the same time in order to zip to a perch.
Oh yeah,
Which
what
isn't. That's not anything new.
No?
Because
Yeah.
yeah, because you do it in Ultimate. Well, not what we were gonna say.
Yeah, in Spider-Man 2, you got zips both triggers. Is what we're talking
Yeah,
about. Right? Yeah, and
right.
you do that in Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate.
And I'm pretty sure, yeah, Ultimate and Spider-Man 2. And I'm pretty sure you can do in Web of Shadows, but I'm not the Web of Shadows expert here.
I think Web of Shadows is just one button to zip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah,
Same
it's
thing with
not-
Spider-Man 3.
So
Okay.
here's the
Well, yeah, it's,
here's the issue with me. For Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man, those are fine to me because L2 and R2 are buttons back then. But now they're triggers, they have different sensitivity, you have to push them down to a certain point, and I have troubles when things make you push them both at the same time, because sometimes they register one before the other, and both of them have their own actions that they do. And so I'm worried if I don't push one at the same rate that I push the other one down as fast or whatever, that it's going to do one and then the other.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
I think that's a very it's a really specific issue. I don't know if that's gonna be like I don't know if that's really gonna happen, because I feel like the game is gonna be able to register that.
Well, that's an
despite
issue I
going
have.
at different rates.
That's an issue I have in general with games that require you to do both triggers simultaneously, is that sometimes it will trigger one of the triggers instead, and then like think I'm pressing them in sequence instead of at the same time.
What kind of games have done that? I'm curious, because
I've never interacted with that.
I don't know if I've had that problem before.
It's not a problem that would happen like every time I do it, but it's a problem that like 10% of the times I would try to do it, it would mess up. But I can't think of what games do that. But I know I've done it. Who knows? Maybe that it's designed, because I mean, Insomniac are really good developers, so they've probably had people testing. They've probably tested some more casual players, and they've probably if that ever came up, they would have fixed it.
I would call them casual with the Game Informer guys. Were like, oh yeah, this feels really good. Like as we said earlier, gameplay wise, the movement feels pretty good. I don't know, Mikey, you're gonna say something?
As a dude who's learning to play drums, like it's hard to do one thing with one hand and then do it with the other. Cause like I don't know why I'm relating to this, cause it's like the only thing that I thought of. It's like the kick and the snare and the hi-hats and the cymbals and the toms. You got to do all that in like a rapid pace, and especially in a rhythm. So like that's gonna be difficult for anybody just learning. I think this is gonna be the same experience with this game, because it's like there's so much stuff and variation in how the controls are working. Like all at the same time.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily as complicated. Like pressing buttons on controller, I don't think that's like necessarily as complicated as drums.
I'm sorry, but like,
that was a weird analogy.
You just hit a thing with a stick. That's all drums. It's fine.
That's all you do ever.
But yeah, I don't know. What I thought was what gave me like weird flashbacks was they said that R2 was gonna be like a sprint / parkour button.
Yeah, it's both parkour and swinging.
It's
really
parkour
weird.
and swinging. Like that's gonna be kind of. Is that gonna like affect anything?
Well, what that reminded me was of Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but Assassin's Creed, you just hold R2 or right trigger and you just go. There's no.
That's what it looks like. Spider-Man's doing too, and what it reminds me of is more like Prototype, because Prototype had a more limited parkour, but you would do R2 and you would skip over cars and stuff, but then when you got to a building, you would run up the building, and Spider-Man does that too, and he does that in TASM as well, but here they're bringing back the like running up buildings and stuff when you swing into a building. And so it reminds me a lot, because in Prototype your gliding was also R2. You had your parkour and your gliding, they were both R2. And
they switched it up in the second one, which made it a little bit weird, but not too much from the first.
I've barely played the second one, but yeah, so like the swinging and the parkour to one button kind of reminds me of Prototype. It reminds me, and the way he runs when he does parkour, he seems to like overdo small stuff. He's not really going to be like climbing towers in the way and doing like big giant jumps and stuff the way Assassin's Creed does. At least it doesn't look like it, because he can swing and he can climb and he can run up walls. So
I mean, it's kind of optional.
So it reminds me a lot more of Prototype than Assassin's Creed.
I don't know. I just made a comparison. It was just because it's just Wolf. I never played Prototype.
Oh, okay.
And that's just what it reminded me of. But going back to the wall running swinging thing, and going back to how insanely detailed the mechanics are. They were like you run up a wall, you press was it circle or something? I don't know. But it was like you'll carry that momentum and you can go into a swing, and I'm like, how am I gonna time that? I guess that goes back to issue.
And someone was asking during the interview about what if you want to run up the wall and then like when you get to the top, you stop and you go onto the roof instead of flying off into the air, because that's what happens in TASM. Is it's really hard to get on top of the roof because you kind of like go up in the air a bit after you run up the top.
Oh, you're right. That made it a bitch to collect comic book pages. You couldn't like when you jumped, it was hard to aim your landing.
And the weird thing was the director at the time, he said, "I know it's possible, but I don't remember how." So and maybe I'm a little worried.
That's weird because that's not something you think about, but that's something you like want to be able to do.
Right.
to like go up a wall regularly. And okay, wall crawling in Spider-Man games was always never great for me.
Always slow
Yeah,
and takes
because
forever. In the PS1
not
game
even
at
that.
least.
It's just like,
It's the
Like-
camera moves around.
and then
It's
it
weird.
inverses the controls with. if
Yeah,
the
that
camera
depends
moves
on
around.
game. And like
Yeah.
it's weird because some games you press up if you I don't remember, I'm pretty sure the TASM games do it, but if you just walked up to a wall, you'd start going up it. But in other games it's like you have to go up to a wall and you have to press a button in order to start crawling up it, otherwise you just run into a
Spider-Man 3
wall.
was circle to
Right.
get on
So-
And
wall.
that's like sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, sorry. Go keep going.
Because okay, and I never, if I'm being honest, I just can't be. I don't think I'm gonna be happy with either because I never. I guess it goes down to more of how crawling works in the respective games, but I never liked how you had to press a button in order to go up something, or if you just walked right up it, if you hold the stick towards a wall.
Have they said something about how wall
So-
crawling works in this game?
So here's what I want. I don't know what they're doing, but here's what I want. I don't like in the Spider-Man games where I can just walk up to a wall and then start climbing it. Because sometimes I want to be able to, for whatever reason, to be able to go towards a wall and not automatically stick onto it. Because that could be really annoying, especially in combat situations. So I want to be able to jump onto it if I'm on the ground. But if I'm in the air and I go towards the wall, I want to automatically stick to the wall. I don't want to have to press a button when I swing into a wall. And it looks like that's what they're going to do is you stick to a wall if you're in the air, or you run up the wall if you're still holding the swing button. But I don't want to just hit the wall and then like be dangling there or fall. But if I'm on the ground, I don't want to automatically stick to the wall when I move the stick towards a wall. I want to be able to, I want to jump onto the wall or something before it makes me stick onto it.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I think I've definitely had that problem in like TASM, especially with in stealth situations, I guess.
I had that issue in the PS1 game where you're trying to fight things and sometimes you'll go towards the wall and you're just sticking on the wall suddenly, and then you can't punch or anything. You gotta jump off the wall, and then it's just, and you're getting shot at, and it's a mess, especially in like the later levels with symbiotes, and they do tons of damage. So it would just be nice to not automatically stick to a wall like glue if I'm near a wall. When I'm on the ground.
like-
Don't do it, Insomniac. I'll come over to your studio and murder everybody if you do it. Just
No,
giving
we-
you a warning.
We need Insomniac.
No, okay, right.
Bring Insomniac onto the podcast. I'm sure they'll have 30 views.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Come on.
definitely.
come on and defend yourselves, Insomniac. Even though your game looks pretty good so far.
Oh, I love the way. Okay, this isn't gameplay related. I
Okay.
love the way the city looks. Like, it is so much busier than any other
Oh,
Spider-Man game I've seen.
right.
Any game, yeah.
And it's interesting that it goes deeper because you can like, and this is like interesting game thing that I don't know what I'm talking about, but they say that they mentioned that you can go down and interact with civilians. You can give them finger
Right.
guns, take a selfie,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and that changes throughout the game because you might be viewed as a menace. And I think that's a really cool, small
yeah.
detail.
I love. Also, the buildings look really good. Like, they look less samey than they usually do in New York games. That, I don't know. Everything
not all
looks
the-
beautiful.
Right? Yeah, I guess it's more
There's people on the
vibrant.
roof.
Everything's like, I think I know what you mean, but I like, and I think TASM, the first TASM did the city decently, but that might have been more like a lighting thing with how like the sun just. Like,
Right,
looks
I'm talking about like
really
the
good.
details of the actual buildings. They had like stuff outside them and like tables and
Yeah.
people
Like, things
interacting with
about
them, and you had the rooftops where some of them had actual like balconies and stuff that people would be on.
Like with
And like the buildings
most
didn't look
other-
like a bunch of just towers with windows, which is just kind of what it feels like in even TASM games. It's just they feel like a bunch of towers with windows, and I don't.
I'd have to agree.
with most like other like New York set games, they just kind of like phone it in, and it's like
Everything blurs
it's all
together.
skyscrapers, and it's either skyscrapers or shorter buildings,
Right.
and things in big cities like a lot of metropolises, I guess. They're like it's a varying amount depending on where you are. Did they say if you can access all 5 boroughs or not? I thought they confirmed
It's
that you
only
can.
Manhattan.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hate that.
What
Uh,
could you have gone outside of Manhattan in any of the other games?
no, not that I know of.
There might have been one where you go to Liberty Island. I'm not sure. I know that. Like,
In
you
Ultimate, I
could.
think you can go to Queens in Ultimate.
Right,
Yeah,
because
you
you
can.
start out in Queens.
But
Then
other
what's
than
the
that-
one? I think is it Roosevelt Island? Is that the one? Does that count?
I don't know
In
about
which-
New York.
Didn't Spider-Man 2, wasn't there a mission with, I don't remember, it was Mysterio maybe. You had to swing over to Liberty Island or something?
Yeah, you get to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, you can go to Liberty Island and Ellis Island, Spider-Man 2.
How do
Could
you
you ever-
swing? Like, especially with Spider-Man 2, when it attaches to buildings, how do you swing to Liberty Island?
Oh, it was really
in-
annoying.
In the Mysterio mission, they have like these little like floating UFO markers. That's what had and that was the Mysterio mission in that. And then outside of that mission, there was helicopters flying around that you could latch onto.
Mysterio always annoying.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I was terrible at that mission. The specifically the swinging over little UFO drone things. I kept falling over and over because I couldn't time the webbing. Wait, and that's what were you saying? How did you get back to those islands if after you defeated Mysterio?
Helicopters?
Right. Yeah. There's 3 helicopters. One that would fly to Manhattan, and then one that would fly over. That would meet the other helicopter and fly over Ellis Island. Then on Ellis Island, there's another helicopter that flies around Ellis Island and Liberty Island, and you just gotta connect to those.
Oh, okay. All right, I see. All right, so going back to what Mike was saying about the boroughs, in Ultimate, even though even though you can go to Queens, I never got that sense of scale.
Yeah.
And based from what I've seen of PS4, despite it being just Manhattan, it feels enormous. It looks enormous.
Feels like a living, breathing city. That's
Yeah.
what I like. I like because all the other New York games, like, it's just it's a concrete jungle, I guess. But it doesn't. None of them ever felt like I actually wanted to explore the city, and this one kind
Like
of
they're
does.
just a concrete jungle, and that's what it is. But like with this
Right.
game, it seems like it's fully interactive, like everything.
This
wanna go
one
inside
feels like I would
buildings.
actually want to walk around and see the sights, and
Yeah.
that's very
Speaking
rare
of
for mine.
sites, we're getting a ton of Easter eggs that references the larger Marvel universe.
Yeah, especially the buildings. Like I took
Right,
note of some of the
we-
buildings they were talking about.
We get Avengers Tower, we get a Wakandan embassy, and we get the
Embas-
Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah,
I want to
Pretty-
see the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah, I'm curious to see.
I think it would be cool if we could go inside them. We probably can't, but
Yeah,
I really want that.
that'd be rad, and I guess we can talk about that later once we get to story stuff. But I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say, but I think it's what else. I wonder what else we. Oh, I was gonna say I wonder how accurate it is. How accurate of a New York it is to real life New York.
It seems kind of because there's like I think it's a chapel, like in that scene where he swings through the trees.
Oh, I know what you're
right?
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
this chapel that's there, but it's not. I don't think it's in the game. I think they replaced it with something else. But like they're at least close in attention to detail on like which like landmarks are where. It seems so.
Because I always think it's interesting when you set a game in a real life city. I wonder how accurate
Yeah, I've always thought the
It
same
usually
thing.
never is. Besides, like the landmarks that everybody knows, like obviously Empire State Building and Times Square and things like that.
Well, well, this is
I want to be able to live in New York in one of the houses that I saw in the Spider-Man.
No, I was gonna say, because Mike, you're from New York, right?
Hmm.
So I guess you're always curious. Oh, I don't know if you're always curious, but when you play a game that's set in New York, do you ever try to see how accurate it is?
I didn't really get around the city that much. I only stayed in Brooklyn, and that was it. We rarely went to
Okay.
Manhattan. But
The
like,
only-
regardless, I still know my way around it.
The
A little
only
bit, like this Midtown up to like the end of Broadway, and that's really it. So, but like most of them are accurate when it comes to, again, like landmarks that everybody else knows.
Okay.
there's
So
only like
you're about to. I called you. Sorry,
there's only
I
like
said
two,
something wrong. Or you were gonna say something. Fuck.
there's only like 2 cities I've ever seen translated into video games. That's Manhattan, New York, and Chicago for Watch Dogs. I don't.
Oh,
Yeah, Chicago. I was about to
apparently
say
that's
something about that.
terribly inaccurate, according to Kaiken.
I've never played it, so or been to
Right,
Chicago.
neither have I. And I was gonna bring up another game. Infamous Second Son was Seattle.
Oh, was it?
Was it?
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
then there's
yeah.
like Tony Hawk games,
Okay,
but
you
I'm
can
pretty
talk
sure they're
about
not
it.
very accurate.
Right, and I've never played Infamous Second Son. I don't have a PlayStation.
I only
Oops.
played the first one.
But I was always curious to see how accurate, because people always make that joke, like on Reddit or something. It's like, yeah, I went to my house in Grand Theft Auto or something. I don't know.
Grand Theft Auto doesn't take place in real cities, though. I don't think.
It's like a
Oops,
combination
that was
of
a
a bunch of
bad
places in LA.
analogy.
Oh, whoops.
But yeah, I was just curious how I'm always curious how 1-to-1 things are when they're set in real life cities.
Yeah, and then like, because how weird would it be to be able to go to your apartment building in a video game, and just walk down the
Yeah, it'd
street
be-
and everything's the same? It'd freak me out.
If I saw it, I'd probably be like kind of weirded out. Not weirded out because it has to be accurate, but like I'd be like, "Hey, I haven't seen this place in how long? Probably like 7 years."
Play as
So,
Spider-Man
see,
and look through your
virtual.
own apartment window. Just stare.
I was watching a retro replay with Nolan North and Troy Baker, and they was doing like impressions of like foreigners and like people that just moved into the apartments, and they were talking about how Spider-Man kept trying to give him a hug in the Atari game.
Huh. I don't.
Yeah, I don't, nope.
You know, like what I'm talking about?
I don't.
No,
I'm sorry.
I don't watch retro replay. All right, I guess we should move on to other. Sorry,
we
Mike.
got the costumes.
Oh, that's right. We should talk about the costumes.
Oh
We
yeah,
know,
let's do that.
we know there's more than 24. We know we're getting.
I'm not sure
The
if we know there's.
Spider-Punk?
I'm not sure if we know that there's more than 24. I think we just know that 24 is an inaccurate number.
Well, I read there was the video, and then it was written down because what the Game Informer
they
guy
showed
was
an
like.
image of 24
Brian-
silhouettes, and then they said,
Right.
"Don't worry, that's not the actual number." But
Well, I
that doesn't
also read-
necessarily mean there's more.
Well, I thought that I read that. Let me see if I can find it. That's not the right count, so don't worry about that. There
Yeah.
are a lot of them. I feel like there are a lot of them.
It could be
Implies
there's
there's
more.
more than 24.
But I'm just hoping that if there's somehow less than 24, that people don't be like false advertising, because it doesn't necessarily mean there's more than 24. It could mean that they didn't end up making as much as they want to, but there's still a lot. But we'll see. There's probably more than 24. I'm hoping there's more than 24.
Right.
I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
there's still a
So more is
possibility
always
if
fun.
there isn't.
And it's interesting how you unlock suits, because they announced that there was suit crafting, and I feel like there's a misunderstanding with that, because it's not
It's not
customized.
like right.
Yeah, it's not customize your own suit. It's
It's not
you
like
get
Injustice 2, where you
right.
can like make your
There's
own
you can mix and
version
match
of
and
it.
stuff. Yeah,
It's just a
but
crafting system, and then you make a suit.
right, and it's interesting because you we'll get into combat later, but after you do like a combat section or side mission stuff, you get materials like after you complete a fight or something, and that way
Yeah.
you craft the suit.
I'm
And it's not like look around and find the suits.
I'm not sure how I feel about it having a crafting system. I feel like every game seems to want a crafting system, and I don't think it like Spider-Man doesn't feel like a game that should have one to me.
Right, and it feels gimmicky, but they said that it's not just an afterthought, but I can't think of why.
We'll see. It's not
Yeah.
something I'm particularly excited for.
Like I thought it'd be more interesting to craft gadgets. We'll get into gadgets later. But
yeah, that's true.
yeah,
that could be more interesting.
That would have made more sense to me.
So,
But
yeah,
I don't know what you're gonna say, but they're along with extra suits. Each suit has a specific ability that you can use in combat.
And then we can actually like switch them out.
Right, and I don't know if I like that. I
like that. I like that if there's an ability, because I think it depends on the ability. If there's an ability that's obviously intrinsic to the suit, like say Iron Spider Repulsor Rays or something like that, then it would be really weird doing that with the classic suit. But something like quad damage that the classic suit has, I'm totally fine with that being on any suit you want.
Well, okay.
The first the PS1 Spider-Man game, it had like certain suits had certain abilities, and then it was this, I forgot what suit it was. I think it was some kind of concept. I think it was like bulletproof, something I don't remember. But it was like it gave you invincibility throughout the entire game. And
that was Captain Universe, the Cosmic Spider-Man.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. It gave you invulnerability. There was so the first Spider-Man game on PS1, they had the costumes and they each had their own abilities. And then in the sequel, you were able to do like this. You were able to use the costumes you unlocked and then mix and match the abilities. So you were able to put whatever abilities you wanted on whatever costume you wanted after you unlocked them.
Is that I think that's going to be the closest situation we got until we play the game.
Yeah, like and it seems very similar to that. I wonder if you'll need like some crafting component to transfer it over, or if it'll just be you unlock the costume, you also unlock the ability.
I think that's what's gonna be. That sounds about right. And okay, I was gonna say I don't think I like it because it kind of, to me, it makes each different suit not as special. Because if you give it an ability, I feel like it should be like, if you want to use it, you got to use the suit too. And it goes back to what you say earlier. I didn't even think of that. It'd be weird if like I don't know, the homemade suit could have legs come out of it or something. But like they say they mentioned a specific one would be the Spider-Punk one. You can do an AOE attack. I imagine it'd be pretty weird. Yeah, imagine it'd be pretty weird if like the classic suit pulled out a guitar and did a power chord.
See, you say that's weird. I say that's awesome.
Okay, you're not wrong. I'm just you're not wrong. I just think it's weird, and I don't think I feel like swapping abilities amongst different skins kind of cheapens like the reward of getting a new suit. But I can totally see like the other, like I can totally see like the abilities not really is more of the reward than the suit is.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I see. What I think I would probably prefer would be that originally you have to use the suit for the abilities, but then you can unlock a way to get the ability out of the suit and transfer it to another.
Small little pet peeve. I'm looking at the suits now, the Spider-Punk suit, and the comic one has gloves, and the game one does not. I'm very upset now.
Well, wait, time to boycott the game. This is completely unacceptable.
0 out of 10. Unplayable.
Sorry,
wait, so what's wrong with the Spider-Punk suit in the game?
It doesn't have gloves. He has like fingerless gloves that have like this white pattern on them in the comics. They don't have them in the game. They just have these spiked like wrist web shooters, and they don't have the gloves. And I'm not okay with that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
So can we talk? speaking of design, of costume design, they talk about. There was a whole video they made about why they designed the
main suit,
the main
the advanced
suit,
suit.
right?
Yeah.
And what I thought was totally silly was they were talking about the classic suit and the quote unquote old school boots.
Yeah,
And they're like,
I was
nobody wants those anymore, so we put athletic shoes
what?
on. And I'm like, I've never heard anyone complain about Spider-Man's feet looking like boots in the old
Yeah.
costume.
that's
I've never heard that
absolutely true.
complaint.
And it looks. It actually. Okay. What are our thoughts on the suit overall? Nuts,
like
you go
it.
first. Nuts, go first.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really, it's really sleek. Maybe a little cluttered, but overall, I like it. Yeah.
It grew on me. What threw me off most was the white, but
Yeah.
that grew on me. And well, some people still hate the white symbiote.
Who's that? I don't know what?
He's gonna watch it and be like, I knew they were gonna target me.
No, I don't think he watches these.
He's on for one, and then doesn't care about the rest of them.
Yeah. But I think that's the only detail that I don't like about the suit is that they're okay. So the Amazing Spider-Man suit had the same idea with athletic shoes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but they only incorporated the soles of that.
Yeah, but other
And
than that, it was a boot.
Other than that, it was a boot. But the PS4 suit is weird. It's like a split. It's like a split shoe. Like there's more blue than there is
like
red, and
the
that throws me
heel-
off.
It's probably
the
my
heel and,
least.
like, the sole are separate. They like cut them in different pieces and put them together on the shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It looks weird.
The
Because I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. And speaking of design, they made a point to mention that the blue parts were for being able to move better, and the red parts were for armor. And
Padding,
I'm
yeah.
Why does
looking
he
at
need
it.
armor on like the bottom and like the sides of his feet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure
And
that applies to the shoes.
Okay, because I feel like those are important parts to protect if you're making a point there. The red is armor, especially since Spider-Man does a lot of kicking, kicks a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna. Oh, were you, sorry.
I can't stand when they put shoes on the costume. I just like out of
you're gonna
all
hate
out of all the redesigns that has ever happened of Spider-Man's main costume, this is actually probably my favorite one. But the shoes is the least favorite part of it. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
His
I
feet
agree.
are also supposed to be sticky, and how do you stick when you got these giant things on the bottom of your feet? I don't.
Yeah.
They should
Yeah,
like-
that's weird in every version.
stop giving him
back of the-
shoes.
The heel has like
doesn't
it's
need
like
shoes.
lifting them up. They're like lifts. Like they're I don't know how to explain it. They stick out further from the actual heel, right? And they make them
Yeah.
a little bit taller. So that's the weird thing. It's
He's
like
got-
it's
he's got
really
heels.
blocky and probably bulky. So it's like his sticking ability is kind of questioned there.
Wonder if there's gonna be tap dancing in the game.
There's gonna be a La La Land sequence.
Mysterio's gonna put him in a La La Land sequence, and everybody sings and dances everywhere.
What looks great in this game is the Infinity War Iron Spider suit. It actually looks really good.
Yeah,
It looks better than it does in the film.
I've never liked
still
that
don't like
suit
the
that
fact
much.
that the
I mean,
symbol's
it's
blue.
okay.
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
know if they're gonna have the actual Iron Spider suit too? Because
We do not know that. We know we're. I think it'd be.
I would be really disappointed if they only have the movie version.
Yeah, I
I
think it'd
think
be.
they're gonna be like, we already have one version. Why put two?
The original
Well,
is so much better.
Well, you say that, Mike, but they have the Homecoming homemade suit and this suit, and I don't think there's any way that they're not gonna put the Homecoming suit in.
So they
So
have the classic suit, right? And so
Right.
that's like a pseudo homemade version, right? You know what I mean? Because
well,
Peter
it still
made the
looks
costume.
like the main suit.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like and they have the Homecoming homemade suit, which is completely different from the classic Spider-Man suit. So
Going back to special abilities really makes you wonder what they come up with for special abilities. Like the guitar makes sense for Spider-Punk.
So the guitar makes me hopeful because that's a really unique ability. That's like, it's not
Nobody else has
some
the
extra damage or some more webs. It's actually a really unique power set that you can't get
Specific to that suit.
right, and that's really cool. That makes me think: are they going to have is it going to be on the gadget wheel, or is it going to be a suit power button or something? Makes me wonder how.
I think it's going to be like I think it's going to be like get a combo, press square and triangle together or something.
Okay.
Like an Arkham. Yeah. I think that might be what it is. But I was gonna say, what do they like? I wonder what other abilities did they have? Because with a thing like Noir, the only thing that Noir does differently from regular Spider-Man, other than not being able to shoot
Sneaky.
regular legs, he just has a gun. So if
Yeah,
I
you
use
just
Noir,
bust out a gun.
Yeah,
right?
am I gonna be able to shoot people?
I'm really hoping, because in the rapid fire video, the interviewer was like, "Is there going to be a sniper rifle?"
He
And
was
he
like,
said
and he
no. But I'm hoping there's a gun for Noir, even though that's definitely not gonna happen.
It's not.
But
It's too R-rated. Guns are evil.
And
Yeah, but
the rating of the game is T, right?
You have guns in T-rated games.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you can't be like, oh, you shoot him, all this blood, oh crap, it's accurate, you know?
When
I
there's
think
blood
the
in the
problem.
game.
I think the problem with it is, even though Noir uses guns, it's still going to be Peter Parker in that costume, like this Peter Parker.
This version.
So they're not going to want him to use a gun.
Right.
What if
Well,
what if it's in like the Hulk games in both the movie and Ultimate Destruction, where it's like when you're regular Hulk, you just have the roars, but when you're Joe Fixit, it's Joe Fixit's voice from the 90s.
Oh, I
And
doubt they're gonna do that.
That's too much money
they,
these
they
days.
have Yuri Lowenthal doing that.
Yeah.
That'd still be cool though. They have different voices for each one.
Oro, don't you have problems with Yuri Lowenthal? Is that you or someone else?
Yeah, Yuri Lowenthal. Okay, so I like him, but at the same time, he's definitely a typecasted actor. I hear his voice and I think of anime characters every time. There's no way for me to disassociate that. I hear him as Spider-Man and it feels like I'm hearing Yuri Lowenthal play Spider-Man. I'm not listening to Spider-Man. And I hope for people less like used to him or who's heard him a lot less that won't be an issue. But for me, Yuri Lowenthal's voice just sticks out way too much.
Because who does he play in Naruto?
He plays Sasuke.
He plays Sasuke, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
But, like, is that the?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. I hope you Naruto run in this game.
He also plays. I know him more as like Suzaku in Code Geass, but nobody like that's kind of.
He's in
it's
Ruby.
popular.
Rooster
Oh yeah,
Teeth afforded him.
he's
Okay. Is like
he's
anime
Mercury.
the only thing you know him from, Oro?
is what?
Is
I
anime,
know him in
like,
Naruto. I know him in Code Geass. I know him in Durarara. I know him in Ruby. I've heard him in some other things, but I can't put.
He's done American cartoons.
He's done,
he's
he's done a lot of
Older
video games too.
he's Superboy in Young Justice.
Yeah,
Oh, is he?
that, and he was he was in Marvel Pinball.
He is
Who
Yosuke. He's Yosuke in Persona 4.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
He's also, I think he's the main character in Persona 3.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
You didn't have to say a lot then.
No, he didn't have to say a lot, but he's there. Yeah.
what else
He's
was he in?
he's the main character in Gurren Lagann.
And he,
Oh, is he?
is he?
Apparently.
I
Well, I mean,
never-
Simon,
know.
right? Simon's the main character in that.
I haven't like watched that one in a long time, so I don't remember his voice, but I guess it's him. But yeah, no,
Yeah, that's
he
what Gurren
and
Lagann
he
was like 2
sounds the
years ago.
same in 99% of it, and it's the same voice he's using for Spider-Man. He did Alucard in like the later Castlevania stuff, and it doesn't sound right because old Alucard was better for him.
I
He had a
don't,
deeper
I can't see him as Alucard.
Right, I didn't like him as Alucard because it's just Alucard had a
His
deeper
voice
voice.
seems his voice seems too light for Alucard.
Yeah, exactly. But he like if I hear Yuri Lowenthal, I think anime teenager, because that is he was typecasted as that. And when I think Peter Parker,
also
especially adult grown up Peter Parker, I don't think Yuri Lowenthal. But we got Yuri Lowenthal, so I imagine I'll get used to it. I actually did like Sam Riegel. I think is his
Regal,
name.
yeah.
He's the one who did the TASM games. I thought his voice fit pretty well for Spider-Man. Not for Teen Spider-Man, but for a more adult Spider-Man, it would have been cool.
Personally,
I feel like we should switch the two voice actors. Make Yuri Lowenthal play Andrew Garfield.
because he was he was Donatello in the 2003 TMNT series, right?
Yuri Lowenthal?
No, it's Sam Riegel.
Oh, okay.
And so I can only hear that when I hear Sam Riegel as Spider-Man.
You hear
It's Donatello?
Donatello?
I hear Donatello.
Oh, I hear Phoenix Wright.
Was he Phoenix Wright?
Yeah, he was Phoenix Wright in the newer games and in the Ultimate Marvel Capcom 3.
Hold on. We're gonna go to this. Because I played the shit out of Ultimate Marvel Capcom 3.
All right, let's move on. There was more anime in this than I thought it was gonna be.
You invite me, this is what happens. I'm sorry.
That's right. We did have a whole bit. We did have a whole bit the last time you were on. Boruto's dad. I apologize. Let's start speaking. We were talking about suits and their abilities. I guess now's a good time to go to combat.
Oh.
And all right, and this is probably the thing that gets compared to Arkham a lot because.
Which is
Phantasm.
Okay.
Well, TASM gets compared to Arkham a lot too. So.
Yeah.
Those are the games that I can say definitely did try to copy Arkham style, but this game I don't feel it's gonna do that.
Here's the interesting thing. I don't think it has a dodge button this time. Like I thought it did when we first saw the gameplay, but now it looks like you actually have to dodge it manually, and that.
Oh, like you have to like move the stick in a direction.
So like you actually have to like do something to dodge it. You can't just press triangle or Y and then your character dodges it like it did in TASM. And probably Arkham. I don't know.
Huh. I didn't get
Arkham
that.
did have a
Arkham was like press Y or triangle, you did a counter attack.
Yeah, that's the way TASM is too. I think in this one you actually dodge and shit. Like you actually have to not be shit at it. They talk about how you can do a lot of stuff with like aerial and webbing and you got like aerial combos, like you get a launcher if you hold the button.
This is also a part that seems weirdly meticulous, is that like he gave an example. It was like you can launch a dude up in the air, use a web to slam him down, but then you could also fire a bunch of webs at him, slam him down, and he sticks to the ground.
Right, I think that was cool.
And alternatively,
that's a cool aspect that I liked.
Or alternatively, launch him in the air, slam into another guy, swing him around for a bit. I wonder. I guess I have that similar issue with you for swinging. I don't know how many layers this goes, and it sounds like complicated to input all of that in order to do this thing.
So, here's what this reminds me of. And hopefully they don't have a scoring system, but it reminds me of Platinum games of all things. And
like the company Platinum games?
Like their style of games, like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. That you can launch them, you can do aerial combos, you have like a ton of utilities you can do, and you don't have to be fancy to get past the encounters, but there's a lot of things you can do for the style of it. So, and like the way it just reminds me a lot, the whole launching them in the air, firing a ton of webs at them reminds me of Dante and his guns. All of the things you can do with it reminds me a lot of a Platinum Games style game, and not quite, because it doesn't look like they're gonna have like heavy attack, light attack like they do in Platinum Games, but it does look like there's gonna be a lot you can do stylistically, the way you can use your environment, the way you can combo together and do different things, stick them together, the gadgets and stuff. It looks like there's a lot of things you can do stylistically, even if you don't necessarily need to do that to beat every encounter, except you probably will if you play on a harder difficulty. You'll probably have to be very creative with what you do with it, and I think that's actually kind of cool. What I'm worried about is that I'm never going to learn how to do all the cool stuff, and then the game's not going to be as engaging to me, because like if you can just go in every encounter and then just do it the TASM 2 way, where you just punch, dodge, punch, dodge, then it's not going to be very fun. So I hope they do a good way of teaching you and getting you into the whole combat system so that it can be a lot more engaging.
I wonder how much of the environment that you can actually use, because in the first E3 footage we can see him like pull a girder into a bunch of people, and then later footage you see them, and they mention it in an interview. You could just yank a scaffolding down onto enemies,
Yeah.
and then there's also like in the first E3 footage, you could web a bag and just swing it around and throw it at a guy. I wonder how much of the environment you can actually use.
So it does seem like it's going to be select items that are going to have a little icon that you can do. I think it just depends on the environment, really. So I think things like trash cans and stuff, you're definitely going to be able to swing around.
Like, can I do the thing in Amazing Spider-Man 2, the film, yank a manhole cover off, swing it out on a guy, and just hit him with it? I think that.
I didn't think about that, but that will kill a guy.
I think the manhole cover will probably be a texture on the ground, or something.
Darn.
That will hurt.
Really hoping.
Yo,
because if you remove a manhole cover, then you have a hole in the ground, and then what if you jump down the hole? Is there going to be a sewer system? I feel like that's a little too much for them to plan. I think they're just going to make that
that's fair.
not
what if
interactable.
there's a lizard mini mission where you gotta hunt for the lizard, and then every time you fight him, he just goes into the water and swims away. And
It's the whole New York sewer system completely explorable. Why not?
Speaking, that reminds me, they mentioned that you don't just immediately die if you fall into water.
Yeah.
something.
Oh yeah, you can tread water.
Which
How
is
cool
a
is that?
whole new world.
Right? Spider-Man's always
Yeah, at least
been
some
allergic to
opportunities.
water. He's been like a spider. Spiders die when they go in water, and so did Spider-Man.
Except the
I'd
ones that
never
live
do
in
that.
water.
Oh yeah, except the ones that can like hop on water too. Oh, those
Yeah.
spiders are
I
creepy.
mean-
I don't like them at all.
Sorry, you have arachnophobia. Oops.
I hate that. If you like Spider-Man, why don't you like spiders? Argument. It's like,
Well, they're very different things. One's a man and one's a spider.
yeah, it's very different. Like one
Spider-Man takes all the bad things about spiders and doesn't have them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like Man Spider. I can tell you that right now.
man, Spider's even scarier because he's like human size. Like spiders
How?
are usually small.
How insane would it have been if you could just swim in the game?
How
Well,
far
that's what
could
I'm
you swim?
thinking is you might be able to do that marginally. Either that or it's going to do like Tasm, where if you jump in the water, he just jumps out. And it's like, oh no, wetness.
Oh no, I gotta switch my suit.
It's one of those two things. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if this is. Okay, I should talk about gadgets first. Let's talk about gadgets. I'm a concern I have with gadgets is like because Insomniac they like made a point to mention it's like, oh yeah, we're great at making those. You ever play Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah. Oh.
Gadgets all the time. Now, what I'm concerned about is like, how far will they go with the gadgets, but
Right.
still make it feel like a Spider-Man gadget?
So,
If-
that,
know what I mean?
that upsets me so much. They're like, we're perfect for Spider-Man because we know gadgets. I'm like, but Spider-Man doesn't use gadgets. What? How does,
Well, that's not necessarily true. He has gadgets. It's
he's
just
had
like,
gadgets, but
there's
it's not
like a
focus.
level. There's a level of believability. Like tripwire. The tripwire they showed off. That makes sense.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Web bouncing Betty. Sure. Okay. Spider drone that can fly around and shoot webs. You're pushing the edge there.
It feels
those are
like
only-
he's trying to be Bruce Wayne. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Where does he get the
Right.
money for this? He's not a billionaire yet.
He's very poor. They made a point to
Yeah.
mention that.
Maybe there's a story reason for it. Maybe he gets
Maybe.
teamed
But-
up with
Maybe
something.
Horizon
That's
Labs or
like-
something.
And like as I was saying,
Find
those are
boxes of scrap.
Actually, they did say there's going to be a story reason for why he gets the new suit, and the
Oh,
new
yeah,
suit
the
does
white
look more
spider.
high tech.
right.
Go and
So-
mix it for him again.
I'm guessing he's probably
He's
going to
dead,
partner up with
but-
some rich bastard.
Oh, right. And they say it's a spoiler for where he works.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
he's probably going to work for Oscorp.
We'll get to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
that's
thinking because we
for the
only see
story
3
part.
of the gadgets, and even then, that's really pushing it.
I
You only
don't
saw,
know
like,
what
2
the
or 3,
bouncing
right?
Betty is. I've seen the web bomb and
The
the
web bombs.
tripwire.
That's what I call it, the bouncing Betty.
Oh, okay.
It is a similar thing.
I don't
Um,
understand.
Sorry,
why
what?
the web bomb doesn't web them. I mean, I understand for a game balance reason why the web bomb doesn't web them to things, it just gets in their face or whatever. But I don't understand that from like a realistic standpoint. Like, why would you make a bomb that just only sprays them with web a little bit?
Have a lot of web. I don't know. Maybe he is poor. He's got to save up on all the webbing he can.
Yeah, they constantly make that a point in like most Spider-Man media, how the webbing is expensive.
Also, the gadgets are
Right,
limited.
What do you mean?
Like, so
Limited?
like either you only carry so many on you at a time, because they talk
That's
about
that's
you can
cool.
run out. So
That's interesting.
I wonder. I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of in-game way to get like a fucking ton, or some easy way to make them, because I like the limit for the challenge, but at the end of the game, I just want to fuck around, and so I just want
Right.
all of it. I hope there's a way to do that.
But yeah, I don't know what else. I was gonna say, in Amazing Spider-Man 2 they had this thing called seismic something, and I was like, why does he have that? That's really weird.
Yeah,
Seismic
he
blast.
had he basically had
He could
repulsors.
he could do a Hadouken, and I'm like, that's weird.
I
Didn't they
liked
use
it
that in
though
the
because I
Kingpin
would use the
boss fight?
Iron Spider suit and use it with that, and it was cool. But I wish it was only on the Iron Spider suit.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense that he could like charge up something.
It was
shoot out
it was
his
really
hands.
weird, but
It was like sound related or something like that.
yeah, and
Yeah, I
all
think
it
he
did,
got
all it
the
did was
stuff
stun
from Shocker.
things.
Oh, he stole it from the Shocker.
Yeah, he like stole the shit from Shocker, and then I'd have to play it again, but it had to do with Shocker. I remember.
That's even more stupid. What? Okay.
I guess we're done with gadgets. Does anyone else have anything else to say about that?
There better not be too much, and that's all.
Yeah, I hope we get a rocket launcher that shoots giant web grenades. That would
Well,
be
that
cool.
makes sense.
That'd be yep.
There we go.
Spider-Man written all over it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna bring up Mary Jane, and is Mary Jane? But okay.
That's kind of story
Mary-
thing, isn't it?
Is it okay? No, but there's like, is there gameplay with her or not? Because
Yes, there's definitely gameplay with
Okay.
her.
I assume it's one level.
She's going to have her own missions where I'm guessing it's going to be like more journalism based or something.
missions plural.
Plural.
That's what it
Wow.
sounds like. Yes, she's going to have missions, and you're going to see things from her perspective. You're going to see what it's like to have to deal with your boyfriend being Spider-Man. From what I understand, they said she won't be swinging, and I take great issue with that because the way they kept answering certain questions was that it sounds like they don't want to do anything lore breaking, even for the fun of it, even for bonus modes, and that kind of bothers me because I think it would be great to have like an in-game thing where you can swing around as MJ, but that's not going to happen. MJ.
What
won't
if you
be
had a
swinging.
what if mode?
What if there's a cheat
They
code?
asked that. They
at the
asked
end of
him
the game?
about a what if mode, and he's like, "That's a great idea, but I didn't think of it."
Okay. Because they did that in the 2002 Spider-Man game, right?
And that's his
They did
favorite.
it
They did it in the
2000
2000 game, in the PS1 Spider-Man game,
Yeah.
and he loves that game. It's his favorite Spider-Man game. The directors,
Huh.
and that's why they asked him, "Are you going to add a what if mode?" And they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea, but we didn't think about that."
DLC. DLC.
Please.
A whole mode, different mode of the game is
They're
DLC.
like, just delay the game for 4 months. Well,
2019.
there we go.
Early 2019, Spider-Man PS4.
Players MJ.
I would find it worth it, but I don't think most people would.
Okay.
I definitely would want.
I guess side quest ties into story stuff.
Would it?
I mean,
I don't know, 'cause
side
I think
quests
that's
are
more of a
usually just,
gameplay
like,
thing because they're not
Okay.
very plot relevant.
Okay,
Just
so
side quests
let's
are usually
go.
like, oh, do this certain thing, do this certain thing.
They gave us
get points.
they gave us a few things that we can work with here. Because speaking of other playable characters, Black Cat is playable, maybe.
And that
She
DLC
didn't
thing,
seem
maybe
playable
she-
to me. She looked like she had quests for you to do,
Okay,
but you
but
didn't
I
play
hear
as her.
there. Okay, I don't know. I think Mike is right. I think there is a Black Cat DLC where you play as her. I don't think you necessarily play as her in the main game because or it's a side quest you play.
I
as
didn't
her.
hear about that. I only heard about her having a line of quests that she gives you to do, give Spider-Man
Like
to do.
yeah, she like sends you around to get like golden cats from around the city.
Oh, okay. And
or
okay, this
something like
description
that.
this description makes me scared for some reason. Okay, so it's called Black Cat Stakeouts. And apparently it's a black cat, and she challenges you to find a lucky
Yeah.
cat
They're
she has
basically
hidden in the
speed-
environment.
They're races, basically. What
Sorry,
they are.
what?
They're races, from what I remember, or they said
Oh.
it was basically a speed
So
trial.
we've done every time we've
Is it-
encountered this character in other games.
Yeah, you
So
do
you
a
gotta
lot
do
of
a race.
races. You
Every
gotta do a
time.
race in Web of Shadows. You had to chase her.
You racing down Spider-Man 2. It's every time.
Yeah. What the hell?
Why?
Reuse content. I don't know.
I think it'd be
Speaking
cool
of
to play as
reusing-
Black Cat, but I don't think they're gonna do
Yeah, I
it.
think that's DLC. Mike, you heard the same thing, right? That it's
Yeah.
that she's playable in DLC.
If there's a DLC with her, I want it to be like Catwoman, where she had her own story in Arkham City. Remember?
Right. Yeah, I remember.
That would be the first thing I would think of if they were to make Black Cat DLCs. It sounds like the
Yeah.
Catwoman DLC, but
Like
I
she's
don't- I
got
don't
some
know if
like
they're-
business to do with Wilson Fisk or something like that.
I never heard of them doing that. It wasn't in any of the Game Informer stuff I looked at, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I just missed it somewhere.
Anyway, speaking of reused content, you know what you love in Spider-Man games? You love getting rid of a bomb. And we're gonna be doing that because Taskmaster shows up, which is cool. But he also has a bunch of bombs just lying around.
I'm not excited for these side quests. I'm just excited to see what these characters look like.
We
Right.
get to be the trademark Xavier meme.
We can be the
We use it now.
we can be the what do they call it? The EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. That's what they call themselves, right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Yes, that's-
I didn't know what you meant at first.
The Shocker. I think they mentioned that was DLC. They didn't mention it in any of the stuff they covered, but I heard that not DLC. I heard that was a side quest. I mean,
Was it? I thought it was a story thing.
so
I didn't
the
hear
Shocker?
about him.
Okay, I thought I heard it was a side quest.
He looks weird.
He looks like Common Rider.
Yeah, he does look like something.
Oh,
like
I haven't
Kamen Rider.
actually seen him.
Oh,
You
really?
saw it in the PGS trailer.
Well, I'm looking up real quick. Keep talking about side quests.
All right.
So
we get to
what-
stop cars, which was always my favorite side quest.
Was
Chasing
it?
down cars. Like a
As you
dog.
do, stopping cars.
Hold up, wait. What was that? Remember Superior Spider-Man? Screwball. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2 mobile game, you have to stop bombs from her, right?
Holy
So
crap,
what
he
do they
legit
get?
looks like a Sentai.
Yeah, that's what we're
Character.
saying.
Yeah.
He looks like Kamen Rider or a Power Ranger. Sorry, Mike. What were you saying?
In the Amazing Spider-Man 2 mobile game, which Yuri Lowenthal also acted in, you can mess with Screwball's bombs.
They love their bombs in Spider-Man games.
I guess they do.
There's a weird side quest that well, I guess these are all kind of weird, but this one I thought was particularly weird. You can find Peter's backpacks just lying around
Yeah.
the city. How many backpacks did he go through?
I
How long-
imagine. Well, think
he's got
about-
them stolen multiple times, like in Homecoming.
Yeah, it's you just get bullied, and then your backpack gets stolen and gets thrown in some crazy.
Bullied at
location.
23, man.
Like, how many
Yeah.
are there? How can there be so many that you can make a side quest off of it? And apparently there's gonna be like story stuff.
And they're not
tied
already
with
being
it.
sold at Goodwill somewhere.
Yeah, and it's like, did he web them to a building? How long? can
How long do the
webbing
webs last?
Yeah, are they not an hour like usual or something?
I'm see, and that's funny because it's exactly the kind of lore breaking thing that they're just like trying to be like, oh no, we can't do that, because they're saying no Bruce Campbell, they're saying no big head mode. Big head mode would be great. I don't know, like they said that with like such a condescending tone that made me think, oh, how silly big head mode. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the point. But then they just have a billion backpacks just in New York.
Yeah,
That's all
what-
belongs to Peter. That's okay. That's not silly.
That's not silly. It's just stupid.
Doesn't make any sense. You can find Wilson Fisk's old bases full of men.
I think the comics,
Beat them up.
Take 'em
the
down.
comic pages made more sense, and TASM, and those were flying through the air.
They did.
Yo, can we talk about that? In the Amazing Spider-Man, no, listen. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, when it goes back to the Uncle Ben scene, he's running out of a comic shop, right? But it has like Spider-Man covers already there. It has the Terry Dodson Black Cat cover and the Carnage and Spider-Man cover. It's like, how did they think this through, or like is
Dan
Spider-Man
Lee
already
is the
character
puppet master
and-
of everything. He already knew what was going on because it was
Or
Stan Lee's
Stan-
comic shop. So
Or Peter Parker was just copyright infringing.
there you go.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Did he ever make like decide to like copyright himself? And I know in Ultimate, Kingpin like held the rights to him or something.
Oh, his merchandising rights? I'm pretty. Yeah, that sounds similar. No, I don't think he's ever done that. In
And then, like,
616.
They made a movie of him, and Sam Raimi was the one directing it.
Yeah,
Wait,
it was-
what?
In
I'm
Ultimate,
not even joking.
in Ultimate, they were making a. In the Ultimate Comics, they had a meta joke where Sam Raimi is making a Spider-Man movie. Avi Arad was there.
But that was because that was like, I want to say like 30-something issues in, because I remember issue
Yeah,
34 is
he
when
was fighting.
Dr. Octopus
It was
was there.
it was the first time he fought, or not the first time, second time around.
Yeah, he came back.
And then Avi Arad said to Peter's like, "Hey, thanks for letting us film you fight. You just saved us millions on visual effects."
Yeah, that was
Peter's
weird.
like, "You fucking asshole." Is there anything else to talk about
Yeah,
regarding gameplay? What do we got?
I've got a list of things. So we got a photo mode that's confirmed.
I want a video mode. If they don't have it,
I don't know if there's gonna be video mode, but there's gonna be photo mode. There's gonna be we already talked about playable Mary Jane. There is we're gonna be staying in
There's
Manhattan.
There's Peter Parker stuff.
So all the
Gameplay.
quests, all the side quests you don't do while you're doing the story, they're not going to be missable. So they're all going to be available at the end of the game too. So you'll be able to go back and do anything you didn't do before.
Okay.
There's going to be no clothing damage for your uniforms except for during specific story moments. So there's just
Okay.
normal
Like-
encounters. They're not going to do any clothing damage. There's no fall damage of any kind.
Which people got up in arms about that, didn't they?
And I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Why?
I agree.
Like,
That's
okay,
such a
now I do have a little bit of issue where it sounds like you're just going to hit the ground and you're going to roll, and that seems a little silly. What I liked was in TASM 2, if you were falling from a great height, just before you hit the ground, he would stop himself with webs.
didn't like that.
I liked that. I
don't
think
want
that,
fall damage.
boy,
no,
you're crazy.
It doesn't matter.
I still want him to just splat on the ground.
You're just
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna,
sometimes-
You remember in Spider-Man 3, if you fell off the top of the Empire State Building,
Spider-Man
he
3 is not a
just
good
splat
game.
like he was a cartoon character? I don't care. That's such a good moment.
Wait, hold on. Nuts is saying something. Nuts.
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
want-
Sometimes you just want to go to like the tallest building, just go as high as you can, and just fall, and then just.
I'm gonna be honest.
just
I
drop.
did that. I did that with Spider-Man 2. Just climbed right up and leaped right off. But I didn't like just want to die. I wanted to see how close I could get without killing myself.
I
Yeah, like
think
in the
it's
tutorial.
hilarious, but I think the novelty of that wears out after you've done it a couple times. And
It
then,
would never
and then
wear
it's
out for
just
me.
annoying when it
It
happens
never wears
not on
out.
purpose.
Yeah. In the
Oh shit.
And Mike's like,
somebody put it
I
in
want my
the-
fall damage. You guys suck. I'm out of here.
in the tutorial, there's this one part where it's like somebody cut a clip of it. Bruce Wayne was like, "All right, what I want you to do here is just jump," and then it just ends off. I forgot who put it up, but it's hilarious. I have it saved on my phone.
But they made a good point in the interview where they're talking about like you don't want to like see a side quest down on the ground and then go to land to do it and then you just die right in front of the thugs. Which would be
Eat your body while it's dead. They just
That's
throw the
exactly
soap
what
in
I
it.
want. That's what I want.
I hope I hope there's a
Just-
ragdoll Spider-Man.
he just the car getaway mission. He just lands on the car and dies.
They just get on top of it, and then he climbs into the car behind it.
Spider-Man saved the day and died.
Like, he stopped them. The truck is destroyed now. They can't do their job, but he's dead.
Oh,
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
All right. What else we got?
And then there's no night or day cycle. They're not doing that.
Oh, and
I-
people
I
got pissed off
wanted
about that too.
I'm very pissed off about that. It's
I
like, come on.
I
The
get
best
it.
stuff could be at night.
I get both sides. I like that. I mean, I like day-night cycle, but I also get that they don't want it because they want it to fit. They want the time of day to fit with the story. What makes it up for me is at the end of the game, they're going to let you change it, just like they did in TASM. And so you're going to have whatever time of day you want after you beat the game.
Can I
But
change
it's
the
day.
weather?
Maybe. I don't know if they're going to have
Can
different
you
weathers.
change the weather? That's a very. Is Day and Night by Kid Cudi, is that going to be playable in the game?
No, no,
Damn.
no.
Darn.
Actually, now that you bring that up, I hope he has a playlist.
What? Oh, like he
I hope
listens
Peter
to
has
he
a
has
playlist.
Spotify, but Peter has like Spotify playlists.
Spotify or whatever, YouTube Red, what you know, what you,
I
do
hope
what you gotta
I hope I hope he I hope that's a thing, Mike. And since he's poor, he can't afford premium, so you have to listen to the ads as well.
do. It's like, hey guys, we have the Spotify app on PS4, but now you can just listen to it in the game. But you still gotta
Alright,
go through the ads and all.
I got one last thing about the gameplay.
Okay.
They've said it's okay, so they said two things that together makes me kind of worried.
Which is
They said that on PS4 Pro it's going to look a little better and it's going to run a little better.
However,
They've
A
also
little.
said that the game's going to be locked on at 30 FPS for both.
that disappointed me.
What that makes me concerned about is that means that on standard PS4, if PS4 Pro runs better without going over 30, that means standard PS4 is not going to be at a stable 30. It means it's going to have frame dips. And I don't know how bad those are
no.
going to be, but that makes me concerned. If it can't even
I'm-
keep 30.
look, I'm not
I
a
think the reissued PS4 is like after the Pro came out and they like changed the design for it.
the
I
slim.
think they made the Slim. I think they made that more similar to the perks of the Pro. Because
Is
I
there
don't see.
is there a hardware difference from the slim and the original?
As far as I know, the Slim and the Standard run the same way.
Okay.
They should be the same.
I've never noticed those kind of things unless it's like really bad. Because
I
I
mean,
can't see good.
I noticed
don't know.
it because I played Final Fantasy 15. That's another one that's like it's at 30 frames. And Monster Hunter, I have a standard PS4, so I notice when I look at videos and I see Monster Hunter running at 60 frames, and I die a little inside because I want that, but I don't have $400, and it's not worth $400 to me to buy another PS4. But
I think Spider-Man is like a character that is essential for 60 frames. You know.
yeah, and I'm also thinking you're going to be going through a big city with lots of people in it and lots
That's
of.
gonna take a while to load.
It's not just going to take a while to load. It's going to be there's a lot going on at screen at once as you're swinging by everything really fast.
So
It's gonna have.
there's gonna be
It's,
frame dips.
I can't imagine it not dipping under 30, especially if the PS4 Pro is also locked at 30, and it's going to run better. And that makes me think it's going to dip a lot, and I hope it doesn't dip every time you're swinging, because that would
Yo.
frustrate me.
Simple resolution. I mean, yeah, just like trade
Downscale
your
it if you
PS.
like. If there was a, I love games that give me a performance versus appearance option, where I can downscale the graphics to make it run better. Neo does that, where you can get it running 60 even on a standard PS4, and I love that. Most games only do that for PS4 Pro, but I love when they do it on the standard because performance is so much more important to me than everything is quite shiny and high res as it needs to be. I'd rather it just run.
Just trade in your PS4 now for a Pro. They'll definitely give it to you, especially at GameStop. Don't you know?
Oh my god.
all right. Story time. Story. We don't know a whole lot.
Alright, so what we do know is I'm just gonna open with this thing. Dan Slott is a writer on the game.
And so is Christos Gage.
I don't know much about
that
Gage.
guy is.
But
Well,
I did not know Dan Slott was writing it until last night when I was reading everything, and I'm
Does
like,
that make you concerned?
That makes me concerned.
a
'Cause
little
it's
bit,
pulled
but
from
he's
his-
got 3 other writers with him, so I'm hoping that
It's
his
probably toned
influence
down
isn't
on
going to
his-
be that.
There
big.
there are a lot of elements from Slots like Brand New Days. There's
Yeah, that's what I was
Feast,
saying, that I
there's
don't,
Feast and Mr. Negative. That's about it. Those are 2 elements. That wasn't a lot. I lied.
Seems like
Yuri?
Mr. Negative is going to be the main villain, though, from everything. that there's
Yuri Watanabe.
because they
He's
even
also-
talked about they were even talking about they were going to name it, if they were going to have a subtitle, they were thinking of things with the word negative in them. So it does sound like the game's focused on Mr. Negative. That's going to be the main
That's really odd to
point.
me.
It is
Because
really
he's not the
odd.
main villain. They said he wasn't the main villain, right?
No.
Well,
I think they said they want him to be the main villain because they want him to play as a sort of contrast with Peter's own life. Peter has his own duality between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and they're talking about how the Spider-Man life is going great, but his Peter Parker life is going to be rubbish. And they want to play at that same duality with Mr. Negative. Mr. Negative's working like at Aunt May's something or another. Like he's got a part in his life where he's got the dark side of Mr. Negative and then the not so dark side and stuff. And so they kind of want to make that like similar between the two, analogous between the two, to where they are similar in that regard. And that's why they chose Mr. Negative as the villain. And
When I
it is
first read
weird
about-
because he's not really that big of a villain otherwise, but they also said they wanted that. They wanted a villain that wasn't explored as often, and so they picked him. They basically
Yeah.
built the whole story around him.
huh.
When
Okay,
I first
there-
read about him, like when Brand New Day first came out, I thought he was a symbiote.
Well, you really fucked that one up.
No symbiotes in this
You-
game, they've said. There's
Or-
not going to
is
be a
that-
single symbiote.
All right. That's like minus 10. 0 out of 10 for Symbio.
Yeah. No Baxter building either. That makes me sad.
oh,
Oh, really?
yeah.
that's the Fantastic Four. They
That
don't.
makes me upset.
They don't exist. They're not part of the. They're not part of anything.
They still the deal hasn't gone through yet. Disney
Nope.
still doesn't own
I mean,
Fox.
they're still coming back somehow. Okay, we mentioned like landmarks such as the Avengers building
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Are they gonna have a wider impact?
Do we see? Okay, I don't think that they are, but I'm hoping we see other characters that aren't just the Spider-Man villains.
That was the
Yeah,
best
because it
part
wouldn't
of the
make sense for
PS1
them
game.
to. Yes, the card scene at the end of the game wouldn't make sense because Captain America hates Punisher. But it was just like the fact in that game that there was such a wide universe from
Yeah.
those little bit, because there's not many characters from the wider universe.
And that was my
but they
introduction to
sprinkle it
them.
between. Was it?
Yeah, as a kid, that was like my first. I never heard of Captain America until then.
Oh,
PS1 game
I
was an
first knew about
introduction.
all of them through like
And
like
Punisher as
Ultimate
well.
Alliance. That's
well,
where I first got
to
it.
be fair, I owned the PS1 game before Ultimate Alliance was a thing, so couldn't learn about Ultimate Alliance yet. I had got Spider-Man when I was like 4 or 5 years old, so it was.
Yeah, I only played it because my dad had it.
It's good.
All right, so okay, and I was Taskmaster's in this. Taskmaster isn't really a Spider-Man villain, so I'm hoping
He's
we
a
see.
various villain. He's either
He's like
an
a- he's
Avengers
like
villain
a-
or an
yeah.
Iron Man.
He's like an Avengers villain. So I'm hoping we see. I'm hoping we get at least references to like, man, that Daredevil, he's no good for Hell's Kitchen.
And we don't see him. I'd hate that if they just went it with dialogue and didn't show anything.
Well, that'd be
It would be
that'd be
better than
appropriate.
nothing.
That'd be appropriate if we didn't see Daredevil.
I like that.
I mean, I hope we get mentions of like the ground level Netflix Defenders people. At least.
We know, like, we already know Kingpin's in it, but apparently Kingpin's going to be arrested in the opening mission.
Yeah, he's like the first mission.
Yeah, and so
Fuck him up.
and then he's going to be arrested, and then he's going to have quests from jail that he's going to give out. So, or no, he's not going to have quests from jail that he's going to give to you, but he's going to have his people. He's going to be commanding his people from jail, and you're still going to have to take care of his people in the side quests.
Right.
Yo, like the first portion of Web of Shadows had like Luke Cage in it, right? And like the
Right.
more grounded stuff. I hope they have that type of thing in it.
I mean, I thought it'd be neat if you could see like Iron Man or Thor fly across the sky, like rarely.
Oh,
Like,
we
it'd be,
ain't
like,
gonna see that.
Could you catch up with them?
No, because because that like brings up a lot of problems if you can do that. It has to be like literally he can't be close to any of the tall buildings because otherwise that brings up a lot of problems, I feel. And it has to be like a rare occurrence too. Like it's not like super often. It's not gonna be like, oh man, there he goes again. There's Thor. He's probably off to save Asgard or whatever.
You look into the Avengers tower, and they're all eating shawarma inside.
and they won't let you they don't let you in.
Right.
They just you off or
Like, get the
something.
fuck out.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, it'd be fun if there was like an Easter egg. If you go to Sanctum Sanctorum, you knock on the door, Wong shows up, and he's like, "No, get the fuck out, leave."
Yes.
I think that would be fun. But going back to actual story stuff, we still don't know anything. We know Norman Osborn is in the game.
Is he a
Right.
villain
He
or
just
not,
ran
or
from.
like-
He just became mayor or
he's
ran
running
for mayor.
Yeah, he's getting reelected for mayor,
Right,
or
but
he's trying to.
But he's out of town. He's on vacation or something.
No, wasn't it Harry that was on vacation?
Harry Osborn.
Oh,
Harry
it's-
Osborn's on vacation. He's in Europe, and
They're
you have
the
to do
same
side
person.
missions for him. You have to like check
Oscorp
up.
Labs.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. You have to check up on pollution. You have to look at pollution in the city.
Oh.
On trial or something.
Less like exciting or engaging than I thought.
Yeah, I don't know, but apparently it like builds on the relationship between Harry and Peter. We
You
can
know-
talk about.
And we already
Sorry.
talked about Mary Jane. She's going to have her missions. It sounds like it's going to be part of the story. So
Right.
she's going to be a really big part of it.
She's a journalist in this game.
I
I
think so, yeah.
think so, yeah. Which she was in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon as well.
Right.
So
And we
Well,
know
it's not
how
the
that
first time.
turned out.
She had a journalism thing in the comics as well. Like after Ultimatum, she decided to become a reporter.
That's true. Okay, well I think
Okay.
it's weird. That's not that's not something I'm
Well, they did say-
necessarily against.
they said they didn't want her to be like in the comics. They wanted her to be a more complex character.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
she's-
just
I mean, she's
surprised
pretty
us in this game.
Complex in the 616, I'd say. But that's
Ah.
more so. That's more
You
so when
mean like all women? Cut that out.
keep it in. Keep it in. No, well, but she's. I guess you bring up your that's a fair point. Because I feel like she only gets really complex after she's married, but married to Peter. But that's not. I don't think they necessarily have to be married in order for them to do complex Mary Jane.
And it
That's-
sounds like
I
they
mean,
don't
'cause, like-
want to marry them in this one. They don't want to
Well,
have
what
them
the
married.
fuck?
They're just gonna be
It's
they're just gonna be
interesting.
dating, I guess.
Well, even then they're like, oh, they've been on and off. This is the first time they talk to each other in 6 months or something.
So
Oh,
like when not like going
Dan
back on
Slott's
her
writing.
being
Of course she's
Compass
gonna get married.
character.
And
Like back to her
they've
being like
known
a
each other since high school. So
yeah.
yeah.
But like back to her being like a complex character. Like when she first was introduced, Gwen was still in the picture. And the thing about Peter and Mary Jane was like they kind of took it slow. Like she was just kind of buddy with him. And then once after Gwen died and all, that's when they started getting closer and having
Right.
developed relationship.
I'm wondering if there's any mention of Gwen in this at all. And
It would.
okay.
It'd be
I'm
weird if
also
it wasn't.
curious if Norman Osborn is the Goblin or not, because that's not necessarily clear yet.
I'm thinking
He's kind of old to be the Goblin. Thinking about it.
depends on what they plan on. Part of me wants to say they might be saving that for a sequel, but then another part of me is like, is Insomniac really going to make multiple Spider-Man games?
Right.
I don't know if that
I
would
kind of doubt that they're gonna do that.
happen.
I
Like
don't
this will be the definitive one for a while until they make another one.
If
And I
they
think
make
there's gonna be
one,
another developer.
yeah.
know. But yeah, I'm hoping we get mentions of like Mary Jane and Peter not working for
You
the
mean Gwen?
people. Fuck. Yeah, that one. Emma Stone. I'm hoping we get mentions of her.
Dies.
I'm hoping, yeah, but I'm just hoping we see like Daily Bugle stuff too, because that's kind of. I guess we see.
Well-
we're gonna.
Yeah, JJ doesn't seem. He has a radio station now.
Oh,
But he sounds
and
terrible.
yeah,
I was-
exactly. He
we-
doesn't
someone
sound
made a
very
joke on-
angry.
someone on the r/Spider-Man was like, "What if they just got Alex Jones to do him?"
I would love
That would be
That would
great.
be amazing.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That
if Alex
would.
Jones was JJ.
It'd be better than the new guy, but
Holy
it'd be
shit!
accurate.
That would actually be really good. I
I
don't
would
like the
love
guy,
that.
but I would.
That would be
love
like
him
the
as
new-
JJ. He's
That
the
would be like
real life JJ.
It'd be like the new Bruce Campbell. Just keep him in. Alex Jones does the tutorial. He does the voiceover. Okay.
The only, as much as I want that, I just know there would be people boycotting the game if he was on the cast because they don't like him.
Alex Jones.
They're like, how dare you hire Alex Jones? And they'll boycott the game.
But it'd be hilarious.
But yeah, that's what the whole point. Like, the hell with his politics. He's hilarious. His voice would be hilarious as JJ. I don't, like, we can forgive that for JJ.
You know what? They're gonna have a script for him, but he's just gonna go off on his tangent.
And it would still
he's not even gonna like the script.
Putting chemicals in the water.
Spider-Man put chemicals in the water.
Spider-Man's turning the frogs gay.
Okay. Shit. What else we got to talk about here? The story. Do we have?
That's
we
like.
Is
that not literally everything that we know about the story?
It's basically everything we know.
Okay, this isn't story, but I'm interested to see what's up with. Oh, we actually haven't touched up on this super well yet. Peter Parker's a scientist. He's also really poor. It's a spoiler that where he works is, and you said it was Oscorp. You said you think it's Oscorp.
I think it's Oscorp because
I think it's Horizon Labs.
I don't think it's Oscorp, but I also hope it's not like Tony Stark.
I hate that.
I think it's Oscorp because it doesn't seem like Norman's evil yet, or like they know that Norman's evil yet. And I'm just thinking of who would have that much money to fund all of the tech he's doing. And since we got all the Oscorp, we got all of the Osborn as mayor stuff going on right now, Oscorp seems like the most likely place for me, because that would also be something they wouldn't want to reveal yet. That would sound spoilery, because what, Peter at Oscorp? I don't know. There's just
the counter to that is we mentioned Harry side missions earlier, and I don't necessarily believe this, but the Game Informer podcast was like, I don't think he works at Oscorp because the Harry side missions kind of imply that he doesn't really work there.
I feel like that would make it even more likely that he would work at Oscorp.
Okay. But I don't know.
And then because if it was something like Horizon, then why would that be a spoiler?
Right. You're yeah, absolutely true.
Oscorp feels like the likely situation for me.
There's also a story mission for the white emblem.
I don't know if it's a story mission, but they did say there's going to be a narrative reason for why he has that emblem specifically.
Did I say that? I said story reason. I'm sorry.
Story
but
mission.
Yeah. I wonder what that could be, and wonder why they can't tell us that.
He gets shot in the normal suit, and then
But that's not like who cares though? He gets shot at.
No,
all the time.
but then he's like, no, I mean he gets shot, and then that's a thing in the story. He's like, I gotta get a stronger suit. Let me put carbon fiber on this.
Right, but why isn't it black? They specified white emblem, narrative reason. We can't tell you.
It was the color of Gwen Stacy's eyes before she died, and it's the representative of that.
He's sponsored by Nike.
No, Adidas.
Or Adidas.
Peter would be an Adidas guy.
No, but he wears
Asics.
He does wear Asics and Taz. No, he wears Nike SB.
Does he?
He wears the Nike skateboard stuff.
Oh.
Fuck you. Don't know your lore.
Welcome back, Nuts.
But Nuts, do you have anything to speculate on the story? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, we're just dropping them into this.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're talking
about.
I think we're gonna have the Goblin of Green. I don't know, probably.
Oh, you think we're gonna have Green Goblin?
I think we are.
It would be weird.
I feel like it'd be hard. I think it would be hard to have a game where Negative is the main villain and you also have Green Goblin in it.
Yeah.
I think just out of nowhere, Green Goblin's gonna show up and be like, "Hey,
it's gonna be TASM 2.
Fuck you." Exactly.
Last minute thing.
It's like you said, natural progression of the TASM game. Green Goblin just comes out of nowhere.
Okay. Do we have anything more to go on, or let's get to final thoughts? I guess.
Uh,
I hope one day we get a Spider-Man game with Doctor Doom. I don't know why. I just want that. He's my favorite.
he's a
villain.
villain sometimes for Spider-Man. 'cause
Oh,
he shows
wait,
up
wait,
in
no,
issue
no,
5.
wait, shit. Okay,
What?
I thought it was weird. Okay, I thought it was weird that people were like, "Is that Miles? Is Miles Spider-Man in the game?" And because Miles is in this game, and we completely blew over that.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah.
Miles is in this game.
That's
They
how,
made it. They made it sound like he's not going to be Spider-Man. He's just going to be a dude.
Which is a
that's how
good thing.
insignificant he is to us.
Well, also, yeah, and because Bendis like just gave up on him.
Oh, I really.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing that he's just a side character. Well, we don't know that for sure, but
I don't want him to be a Spider. I don't want him to like pass the torch at the end of the game.
well, I don't think that's
Oh,
what's
no.
gonna happen. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. Inevitable. I know how to say words. But I think he's gonna get powers somehow, or maybe he just won't get powers. Who knows? They just keep him as a supporting character. I guess that's
Can
an
we get
interesting.
a mild suit? Because even though I don't like his character,
His
his
suit's pretty
suit is
cool.
cool as shit.
His suit is yeah.
I kind of want. I really hate that they're like MJ won't swing because I want them to have unlockable side characters like a playable Miles or a playable MJ. Not for the
Yo.
story, but just for like a bonus content. Because
Yo, what
that's
if,
the
like-
only way I can get Silk, and I want Silk, and they're never going to make Silk.
Yo, check it. Okay, so hope you said it was the whole game was like pre-rendered already, right? Somebody said that.
What?
Did anyone say that?
How
I
is
don't
the
know.
game
I
pre-rendered?
heard somewhere. Yo, cheat code
Can't-
to play as Mary Jane and to swing around. In the game, you get kissed. Oh no, they're lesbians now. For future copies of the game, boycott them all. Give it an M rating, and then leave it at that. Just like the first Spider-Man movie
Spider-Man
game.
the movie game. Yeah. you
Yeah.
can
Remember that
play as
happened?
MJ and kiss MJ, and you have lesbian kissing scene in Spider-Man.
Can't have lesbians in this game.
No.
Yeah.
Lesbians are
They're
illegal.
not- Lesbians
Yeah,
are illegal.
Gays are bad. Someone's gonna cut that out and then just put it out of context.
Let him.
Anyway, but yeah, I think the problem with Miles is this isn't our Miles Morales episode, but it's very clear what the problem with Miles is because Miles isn't inherently a bad character. It's just that he got stuck with Bendis for the past decade.
Almost a decade, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been what,
And that's,
2011 since its
Give
introduction?
him a different writer. He only goes up. You can't get worse than what Bendis has done with him.
Yeah, because if there's a different writer on board, for the most part, he's been fine.
Miles
You know,
was
he's had his own personality.
Miles was
well-
good in Ultimate Spider-Man the cartoon. If he that's something to be to worry about for Bendis. I've never I gotta be honest with you though. I've never read a single comic book from Bendis, so I can't personally speak.
Wait, wasn't
For
he
the
a
quality of his
consultant on the
writing.
Ultimate Spider-Man show?
That'd be
He
weird
was
if he
involved
wasn't.
in it. He was involved in it. Because
Even-
his name was in every credit sequence.
I remember Quesada was, but I don't remember
Joe
if Bendis
Quesada,
was.
he's I think he's the executive producer.
Yeah. I don't remember if Bendis was involved. If he was, then he somehow wrote Miles better there than in his own comic book.
Well, okay,
I don't
and
think
like
he was a writer.
what you were saying is when other writers write him, that's not necessarily true because when other people write Miles, they look at. I assume they do more research than Bendis and Slott do combined, and they're like, "Oh shit, he doesn't really have a personality. I guess
Gotta
we'll
give
just
him
write
one."
him." Yeah, well, they don't do that. They just write him as a Peter stand.
Oh.
No, I said like for the most part, like from the writing that I've seen with the other series that he's in, he's been all right.
Well,
What-
honestly though, I half of the reason why Miles is better in Ultimate Spider-Man is probably Donald Glover's work.
Well, he also gets replaced, doesn't he? Because you can't afford.
Yeah,
Donald
in season,
Glover.
but then he's also not as good after he gets replaced. So,
So
he's
what
still
you're saying
okay.
is Donald Glover should write Miles Morales.
Yes, actually, Donald Glover is a great comic writer, or comedian,
Well,
and he should
wait,
definitely
like-
write Miles Morales. That is-
I have a criticism. Okay, his Deadpool script, well, it was all right. I felt Deadpool acted out of character. He was too social media reference things like that to me. When his references kind of go everywhere, right? And I felt like it was too modern day age, trying to be cool and hip with the kids.
I
or,
feel
the
like
youth.
we should have seen the full thing before we like really judge his work on Deadpool, because we
Right.
only got to see a couple scenes, didn't we? About, or did we
Hey,
get a whole
Not
script?
wait,
Let's.
you know.
We're Spider-Man PS4 to finish up.
Oh yeah,
What-
right.
What is that? I've never
Deadpool
heard of that.
show.
What is Spider-Man PS4?
It's like
Yo,
like
what's
a
a Spider-Man?
PlayStation. He's Miles Morales.
The new
He's
Crash
main one.
Bandicoot PlayStation mascot?
But yeah, we don't know what Miles is up to in this. Aunt May is in this. Oh, I was gonna say, I'm looking forward to see what's in Peter's apartment because apparently there's a lot of Easter eggs in it.
But
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
cool.
like. Did they say you can't like do much with it?
I think you can like exist in it.
I
I don't think
think-
it's gonna be just cutscenes.
I imagine it's gonna be like, again, like TASM, where you hang out there, you got your closet full of costumes, and you jump out the window. That's about it.
Nice.
It might be
Yo,
like
I
your hub
think-
to access old story missions and stuff too. That's what TASM did. I think it looked
Because
pretty
they
good in
said
TASM.
you start off with the standard suit, but I remember the
Probably
Game
the
Informer
classic one.
podcast. Yeah, but then like the Game Informer guys in the podcast said like it's kind of like the Sunset Overdrive opening where like there's like a punk rock song playing and then it's like this montage sequence and things and then you
So
just
like
out the
Homecoming.
window. Isn't it?
Well,
Homecoming's
Homecoming
like a-
opens up with Blitzkrieg Bop.
Oh yeah, right.
That's about it, right? We don't have anything else to talk about the story.
No, I think we have talked about this game for almost 2 hours, so it's the longest podcast.
Yeah, you're right.
So far.
This has been gone for a millennia. It's really hot in this room.
Yo, I'm sweating. I've
Mike,
been watching
final thoughts. Mike, final thoughts on the game. Let's go. Because you said you had beginning thoughts.
Speed round. I want it to be good. I hope they don't mess it up. I have faith in them. Don't fuck it up, Insomniac. I'll murder your whole corporation. Go ahead.
Nuts.
All I want out of the game is Webman. That's all I need.
Oh yeah, we're
Talk
having a
we're
we should
trying.
sign- We should have a
Everyone,
petition or a straw poll.
Oh, that's
Everyone.
right.
Egg
If
war
you
on
are one
Twitter.
of the 6 people who listen to this, please tweet at Insomniac to get Webman as a skin in this.
hashtag Webman for PS4. That is the hashtag we've been using.
Exactly.
It's been slightly
There's-
successful.
There's probably not time, but do it anyway. They'll love you. They'll love it.
And Oro,
Maybe we can get it on DLC.
we end with you. What are your final thoughts on Spider-Man PlayStation 4?
TASM 3 looks awesome. It's everything I could want it to be.
Alright. And with that, oh yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to the game too. I don't have a PlayStation yet. I gotta get one of those.
Get a
Speaking of
PS4
Deadpool, how speaking of Deadpool, that's what we're gonna do next week, maybe. Deadpool 2's coming out in a week. Some
it
of us will be on.
I
What's
won't. I don't watch
What-
movies.
Mike, what did you say?
It's gonna be May 18th, right?
Yeah, you were correct.
Yeah, I can see you that weekend.
Yeah, so we're gonna do that. That's gonna be the next episode. I don't know if the next episode's gonna be out next week. Hell, this episode's probably coming out before Infinity War episode comes out.
yeah. we
Oh yeah,
recorded it.
I'm good with the editing, so this is
Yeah.
gonna come out pretty quick.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Oro, for coming on and editing the podcast.
Happy to.
Paul runs the Twitter at MHD Podcast. Follow us there. Also, subscribe to Oro's channel. That'll be linked down, and it's also linked in our like friends area.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
the
Thank
channel.
you.
Yeah. Shout out to Trev. He wanted a shout out in D Squad, so we're gonna give him one.
All right, Trev, you got it.
You're welcome. And that's the end. You guys just gotta say goodbye, then we can finally be out of this really hot room.
Goodbye. I
All
wish
right,
I
I'll
knew
see you.
the.
We'll see
right
you.
now.
All
Wish I
right,
knew
bye
the
guys.
song. Bye.
They don't deserve my goodbyes.
All right, not to say bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. And cut.